show for you. Some of the topics today we're going to be talking about, I'm sure many of you have great interest in. In the first section, we're going to be talking to some young ladies from S.A.G.E, which stands for Survivors Addressing Grief and Easement. Then in the second segment, we're going to talk about all these shootings, these outrageous shootings that are going on in our city. And I'm going to be joined at that time by that Republican Calvin Brown. We're going to have Sam Guy. We're going to have Mark Brunswick. And then later on during that show, we're going to be joined by Pastor D. And we're going to try later in the second segment to allow you to call in to say some things. And so without any further ado, I want to introduce my first guest, which is Jacyln Latson and Lynette Williams. Lynette Williams call me every morning at 3 o'clock in the morning. Just kidding. No, I'm glad. How you doing, Jacyln?
I'm fine, dear. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Lynette?
All right.
You can say a lot about Lynette, but she keeps you informed of everything going on in this city, so that's wonderful. But today we want to talk about whether or not the city should have a homicide unit. I, as a city council person, I support that. I also know that the police are doing a good job and catching some of these murders, but we're going to talk about different type murders that have taken place. They're not different, but we're talking about cold murders.
Right,
correct?
cold case
So
murders.
why don't you go ahead and tell us?
All right. You're right, Councilman. We, too, believe that the police are doing a good job.
Right.
But we simply think that they are overwhelmed. When you look at the numbers alone, they're overwhelmed. Now, what we focus on, what S.A.G.E is focusing on right now, is a homicide unit or a cold case unit, which can easily consist of 2 people,
Right.
simply because there are so many homicides.
Exactly.
So the police are busy enough with the homicides. I understand we have an increase in robberies. So what we want to see, what we are advocating for, what we have a petition for, is we want to see some of these cold case files solved. I know who killed my son, and he is in jail for the rest of his life. Lynette has waited 11 years,
Right.
and she still does not know who murdered her brother.
Right.
So I don't think it's fair for, you know, her and others like her to suffer like that.
Right.
Justice is a good part, a healthy part of easing grief.
Yes, it
so
is.
that's what we're talking about.
That's right.
And
And
if we
I
could-
too, my nephew, they called him
Exactly.
Colin Brown.
Exactly.
We have not got to the end of that murder yet.
No.
You know, and it is disgusting because you want to know that there's someone out there constantly pursuing that case.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what we're talking about, Councilman.
Right, yes.
Right.
And I know that I want to make sure we show some of the pictures that you have.
okay.
Let's show the pictures and talk about them, and then we have a little more discussion. So,
All right.
cameraman, I like to make sure you get a nice shot in
Okay.
on these pictures right here.
Okay.
And while we're going to show the pictures, and they're going to do the talking behind the pictures.
All right.
So
this is Vaughn Williams. This is Lynette's
hold on.
brother.
He's not. They don't have a
I'm
shot
sorry.
yet. Okay, they got a wide view, but I
Okay.
want to get a close up of each.
Okay.
We'll go to this one first on Vaughn Williams.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so he's going to come in with a close up.
Okay.
We're going to keep the cameraman on the job today.
Okay,
right,
then, no
so
problem.
Go ahead.
But Vaughn, Lynette will explain to you, you know, the couple of details about his. This is another one of our grief members' son, LaQuenta, and LaQuenta Pinkston.
Okay, now we're still on Vaughn. Let's talk about Vaughn.
All right, you go ahead.
Go ahead,
here,
Lynette.
let's switch here. There you
Okay.
go. There you go.
Okay, my brother was, Vaughn Williams was killed in 1998, and I've been working on his
Shift the
case
camera.
for 11, just make 11 years now, and they still haven't found out who killed my brother. And I feel as though I've been doing more work than they have been doing. They've been asking me questions. And you know, I have found out a lot of things and everything, and they taking me through a lot and everything.
Okay,
but
when
I
did
just,
it happen, Lynette?
It happened when it happened.
Take your time. In March 3rd, 1998. Okay.
That's when it happened, and they just still haven't found out who killed him or anything,
No clue.
and no clues and nothing like that. And at first, they didn't even want to give me the his case number, and I had to go through a thing with that between them. I mean, they just was taking me through a lot of stuff, but I never gave up.
And don't give up.
I never
Don't give
gave up.
Okay. We want to go to the next one over here, cameraman.
Okay. This is Lonnie Pinkston. He was literally tortured. I don't know if you remember
I
this
do.
case. You
I
do.
do. Yes, I
it,
do.
it was not
Yes,
cute, and
no.
his mother is absolutely devastated still,
Yes.
as we all are. But as someone who knows who killed her son and knows the justice,
Yes.
I see the difference in me and them.
Right.
And it is very painful
It's
to
called
watch
closure,
them.
isn't
It's
it?
called closure.
Yes.
That's the closest thing you can get to it, if there's
Right.
any such thing.
Okay.
Closure would be having our sons or brothers walk through the door and say, hey, how you doing?
Right.
That would be closure.
Yes.
But justice is
Yeah.
a good part, as I stated before, of the grieve easement.
Okay.
All right? That helps you a little bit
Okay.
more.
Right. So now we're going to put the signs,
Okay.
the posters
All right.
down, and let's talk about some of the things that you two believe that the police should be doing that they're not doing, and why you believe we need a homicide unit.
All right. All the elements that in our mind compose a homicide unit and its and define its purpose is saying that these units, these homicide units, are there specifically. They have specificity attached to them. They are there specifically to address homicide, not robbery, not thievery, not rape, just murder.
And why do you think that's so important? Because of they can just focus on one thing and constantly pursue.
They
different
can
leads.
constantly focus
Now,
on
jump in here,
murder.
Lynette.
They was telling me that we have a homicide detective unit,
Right.
but
Not
we
the
don't
same
have a homicide unit. But those are two different things, and that's what we need in Wilmington, Delaware, a homicide unit to stop some of this killing, because it's going to get worse if
Well,
we don't
the
get one.
homicide won't stop, but it will
No,
bring
it-
closure to. And I know what you mean, because
Right.
some people will say, "Well, the police are getting several of these murders." They are.
Yeah, they are.
But,
But we're not talking about these recent murders.
Right.
And I'm so glad and proud of the police that they've gotten that.
Right.
But she's sitting here going, wait a minute, you solved that in what, 6 months? And I've been waiting 11 years.
right.
Due to math, it is extremely difficult for her
Right.
and the other members of our group who suffer through the same thing.
And it's a lot of people out there, because I've attended about a couple weeks ago when you guys were down on Jackson Street, was it St. Paul's?
Yes.
Okay, and other events that you had, I've been there.
Right.
Even if you didn't see me, I've been there and
Right.
been in touch with Lynette.
Right.
So I know there's several groups who have the same issues.
Right, they have
And
the
I
same
do totally
issues.
support a homicide unit. I applaud our police, but you need people to say it again.
Oh,
My
specificity
tongue
is
is getting
attached
tough. Yeah,
is attached to
to
a
it.
homicide unit.
So right.
That's
Being
all
very
they will be
specific
doing.
and focus on what it is.
Right.
And you know, for Wilmington, and I'm always honest, and that's why this is straight talk. We have more police per capita than most places.
We really
We
do.
have a small area,
Yeah.
and I just believe in the second segment we're going to talk about these shootings. Is
Right.
that we need to deploy the proper way. I think we could change that.
Exactly,
We need
exactly.
the community policing.
Right.
And sometime you're going to hear me talk about some other issues later.
Right.
That because I got a lot of phone calls and emails. A lot of people are saying we need a new chief. We're going to be talking about all these different things.
That's a
you
good
know,
thing.
because everything is open for conversation here.
It is.
You know, because sometimes change is good.
Right.
Sometimes change could be bad. But
Right.
you know, we're going to talk about this.
Right,
Do
and
you-
the one point, the one point I want to make is, I can hear it now. Oh, they think we have 50 police. We're not asking for a 50-man unit. It should be very clear that if you had 2 homicide detectives for the morning shift and 2 for the evening shift, or if you just had a cold case shift with 2, I would be fine with that.
We have about 300 police officers.
Wait,
Now, let me tell you.
Right.
If we were to put, say for instance, if you left 40 police officers in the building
Okay.
and doing other things
Right.
on all 3 shifts, that's 120. Then you got 60 police officers each shift to be out there doing something. You know,
That's
not to
right.
say they're not, but people want to see the police, make sure they're, you know, getting out of these cars.
That's right.
And with
So
the
we're
community,
asking,
the
yeah.
community has to do more.
That's right.
You out there in the community, a lot of parents who allow their children to sell drugs and do things, and you reap the benefits of the money that they're getting. You know what's going on. We have more people doing positive things, so there's more positive people than negative people, but the people got to come forward. You got to get outside your house and claim your community.
That's right.
And you know, this don't snitch thing, I don't believe in it. Tell
I don't either.
Because right now there's somebody else who's in pain because of a shooting or murder in their home.
That's
it
right.
could be you next.
That's
That's
right.
right.
I need you two to say something in closing here.
Okay, I would like to show everyone the petition
Okay,
that
there
we
you
are
go.
circulating in case you happen to be out and about where we